Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the lives of history's most fascinating figures. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're exploring the life of Frederick Barbarossa, one of the most influential leaders of the Middle Ages. Born in 1122, Frederick would go on to become the Holy Roman Emperor, leaving an indelible mark on European history. But before he rose to power, Frederick's early life was shaped by a complex web of family alliances, educational influences, and geographical circumstances. To understand the man who would become one of history's greatest leaders, we must begin with his birth in the castle of Waiblingen, near the city of Stuttgart, in the Duchy of Swabia. The year was 122, and the Holy Roman Empire was a vast and complex entity comprising kingdoms, duchies, and city-states that stretch from the North Sea to the Mediterranean. Frederick's parents, Frederick II, Duke of Swabia, and Judith of Bavaria, were members of the powerful Hohenstaufen dynasty, which would play a significant role in shaping his future. As a young boy, Frederick was surrounded by the trappings of power and privilege. His family's castle at Waiblingen was a hub of activity, with nobles, clergy, and diplomats coming and going at all hours. It was here that Frederick received his early education, learning the skills necessary to become a successful leader in medieval Europe. His parents ensured that he received a well-rounded education, studying Latin, mathematics, and theology, as well as martial skills such as sword fighting and horse riding. In 1125, when Frederick was just 3 years old, his father became embroiled in a bitter conflict with the rival House of Welf. This dynastic struggle would have far-reaching consequences for Frederick's future, as he found himself caught between the competing interests of his family and the imperial court. Despite these challenges, Frederick's parents continued to prioritize his education, recognizing that a strong foundation in learning and martial skills would be essential for his success in the treacherous world of medieval politics. As Frederick approached adulthood, he found himself at the center of a complex web of alliances and rivalries. In 1147, he married Adelaide of Vohburg, a union that strengthened his ties to the noble families of southern Germany. This marriage, though ultimately childless, marked an important milestone in Frederick's life, as he began to assert his independence and forge his own path in the treacherous world of medieval politics. The influential women in Frederick's life played a significant role in shaping his early years. His mother, Judith of Bavaria, was a strong-willed woman who instilled in him a sense of duty and loyalty to the Hohenstaufen dynasty. Her family connections and alliances also expanded Frederick's network of influence, providing him with valuable connections in the imperial court. As we explore the early life of Frederick Barbarossa, it becomes clear that his future success was not solely the result of his own abilities, but also the product of a complex interplay between family, education, and geographical circumstance. The young man who would become one of history's greatest leaders was forged in the crucible of medieval politics, where alliances were made and broken with ease, and the line between loyalty and betrayal was often blurred. With his family's influence, educational background, and geographical circumstances all converging to shape his destiny, Frederick is ready to take the stage as a major player in European history. In 1152, at the age of 30, Frederick was elected King of the Romans, marking the beginning of a new era for the Holy Roman Empire. His coronation as king was followed by his imperial coronation in 1155, where he received the crown from Pope Adrian IV, solidifying his position as the most powerful leader in Western Europe. As emperor, Frederick faced numerous challenges, including rival claims to the throne, conflicts with the papacy, and the need to assert his authority over the various kingdoms and duchies that made up the empire. One of Frederick's greatest achievements was his ability to balance the competing interests of the imperial court, the nobility, and the church. He achieved this through a combination of diplomacy, strategic alliances, and military might. In 1158, he launched a campaign against the city-state of Milan, which had long been a thorn in the side of the empire. The siege of Milan was a masterpiece of medieval warfare, with Frederick employing innovative tactics such as the use of catapults and tunnels to breach the city's defenses. The fall of Milan marked a significant turning point in Frederick's reign, as it demonstrated his military prowess and cemented his reputation as a formidable leader. Over the next several years, he continued to expand the empire's borders, conquering territories in Italy, Burgundy, and elsewhere. His military campaigns were often brutal, but they were also characterized by a sense of chivalry and honor that earned him the respect of his enemies. Frederick's relationships with the women in his life played a significant role in shaping his reign. In 1156, he married Beatrice of Burgundy, a union that strengthened his ties to the noble families of southern Europe. Beatrice was a shrewd politician and advisor who helped Frederick navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that defined medieval politics. Her influence can be seen in many of Frederick's key decisions, including his policy towards the papacy and his handling of the empire's finances. The imperial court under Frederick was a vibrant and cosmopolitan center of learning and culture. He attracted scholars, poets, and artists from all over Europe, who were drawn to the empire's wealth and prestige. The University of Bologna, which was founded during Frederick's reign, became a hub of intellectual activity, attracting students from as far away as England and Spain. Despite his many achievements, Frederick's reign was not without controversy. His conflicts with the papacy, particularly with Pope Alexander III, were legendary, and his military campaigns often resulted in significant bloodshed and destruction. However, it is also clear that Frederick was driven by a sense of duty and loyalty to the empire, and that he was willing to make difficult decisions to ensure its survival and prosperity. As we explore the remarkable achievements of Frederick Barbarossa, it becomes clear that his legacy extends far beyond his military conquests or his imperial coronation. He was a complex and multifaceted figure, driven by a combination of ambition, duty, and loyalty. His impact on European history was profound, shaping the course of politics, culture, and society for centuries to come. In the late 1180s, Frederick's attention turned to Italy once again, where he hoped to assert his authority over the city-states of the north. However, his campaign was marked by a series of disasters, including a crushing defeat at the Battle of Legnano in 1176 and a subsequent outbreak of plague that decimated his army. Despite these setbacks, Frederick refused to give up, and he continued to push forward with his plans for Italian conquest. One of the most fascinating aspects of Frederick's final years is the mythology that surrounds him. According to legend, Frederick was a wise and just ruler who was beloved by his people. However, this image has been somewhat debunked by historians, who point out that Frederick was also a ruthless and cunning leader who was willing to do whatever it took to achieve his goals. In 1189, Frederick embarked on the Third Crusade, alongside King Richard the Lionheart of England and King Philip II of France. However, the campaign was marked by tension and conflict between the three leaders, and Frederick's army suffered a series of setbacks, including a devastating defeat at the Battle of Hattin in 1187. Frederick's death in 1190 marked the end of an era for the Holy Roman Empire. He died on June 10, 1190, while crossing the Salif River in modern-day Turkey, and his body was never recovered. The exact circumstances of his death are still shrouded in mystery, but it is believed that he may have been swept away by the strong currents of the river. Despite his tumultuous final years, Frederick's legacy continued to shape European history for centuries to come. His policies and reforms had a lasting impact on the Holy Roman Empire, and his military campaigns helped to establish the empire as a major power in Europe. Today, Frederick Barbarossa is remembered as one of the greatest leaders of the Middle Ages, a complex and multifaceted figure who was driven by a combination of ambition, duty, and loyalty. He was also a patron of the arts and sciences, and his court attracted scholars, poets, and artists from all over Europe. The University of Bologna, which was founded during Frederick's reign, remains one of the oldest and most prestigious universities in Europe. In many ways, Frederick Barbarossa embodies the contradictions and complexities of the Middle Ages. He was a leader who was both revered and reviled, a man of great wisdom and great brutality. His legacy continues to fascinate and inspire us today, and his place among the greatest leaders of all time remains unchallenged. As we reflect on Frederick's life and legacy, we are reminded that history is always complex and multifaceted, full of contradictions and surprises. By exploring the life of this fascinating figure, we gain a deeper understanding not only of the Middle Ages, but also of the enduring power of human ambition, duty, and loyalty. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.